Over the last 2 weeks, Bungie has laid out a lot of information about the sweeping changes they're making to the Crucible as we know it. And these changes go in effect as soon as next week's reset on March 5th. So what do these changes mean for us going forward? And will the Crucible ever be the same again? Also, what does this translate to for the newer or less experienced Guardians deciding to jump into the Crucible going forward? That is what we're going to talk about in today's episode. So let's roll. Have you ever wanted to jump into Destiny 2 but don't know where to start? Or maybe you're a current Destiny 2 Guardian but are hesitant to jump into a dungeon, raid, or play Gambit, Strikes, or Crucible. And for you established Guardians out there, maybe you ask yourself, I want to try something new in the game, but I'm hesitant due to the sharp learning curve or just need a roadmap. This is the Destiny Help Desk podcast, where myself and good friends of mine dive deep into the various topics of the game Destiny 2 and give you some great advice in whatever aspect of the game you want to improve. I'm your host, Todd the Gator, with a combined 9,000 hours of game time in Destiny and Destiny 2. So yeah, you can say I'm a true fan of the game. And I invite you to also check out my YouTube channel, where there's a playlist of new and returning Guardian help videos available to guide you on your way. You can follow me on Twitter X at Todd the Gator, and if you haven't already, join our Discord community at discord.gg/GuardianDownCast. That's my other podcast, where I hear the stories of our Destiny Guardians and share the latest news about the game. So without further ado, on with the show. All right, episode 25 of the Destiny Help Desk. Thank you, Fluffy Fingers MD, returning guest to the show today. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Got that brand new sultry voice now with that new mic he's got. Sounds very good. Sounds very good.
We're no longer peaking or bringing in background noise.
Yeah, exactly.
It only took like 7 years, guys.
I'm surprised, man, because you've been a DJ, a club, running a club and stuff. I'm surprised you didn't get an SM7B before, but it's not cheap though. It's not a cheap mic.
No, see, that's the thing, man. Like I wasn't a DJ. I did music production and hip hop and stuff like that.
That's right.
Although I did learn enough to scratch, man. It was a lot of audio, and I had a really, really expensive Shure mic, but I knew that I needed an external sound card, and it was the whole investing. Like, you do the graphics card, it's like, do I really want to get like... Yeah.
I hear you.
Anyways.
I hear you, man. I mean, it's all about the graphics card on a computer now. It's what it's all about. Yeah. That's the guts of the computer now. I mean, the motherboard and stuff is nice, you got to have a decent one. You got to have some, 32 gigs of RAM, right? DDR5 or 4 or whatever you have in your computer, but it's all about that card, man. It's all about that graphics card.
I mean, a lot of the components make a difference for sure, but yeah, it's
man.
It is definitely the meat and potatoes.
I don't know if I told you this. I went and did the Apple Vision demo yesterday. I made an appointment down at the Apple store. Went down to my local Apple store here at the mall.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, 8K, man. 8K, purely you can take a panoramic picture on your iPhone. Mm-hmm. And you turn the crown on it, and it literally surrounds you. And you can look around, and you're right there on the lake, man. You can see the ripples, like you're like in the mountains with a pond in the middle, like up in Maine. Oh my God, it was awesome.
That's cool.
Then I said, well, what do you got in gaming? Well, we don't have any gaming on the demo. I'm like, I think that's pretty important to show some games on here. But they showed up like a Mario movie and some other stuff, but It was really impressive. I have an Oculus 2. I don't know if you can see it. It's hanging on it's behind me, but I have an Oculus 2 my wife got me for Christmas several years ago. And I'm addicted to this punching game. It's a boxing game, and you're literally got the controllers in your hand, and you're punching, you're throwing punches and body blows and stuff. The next morning I'm like, why are my delts sore? I did a freaking workout on this VR device, and I was winded by the end of it. I mean, I'm not in really good shape, but it was amazing. VR, man, it's up and coming. It's really getting easier and easier to use. Yeah. But today, the topic is Crucible 2.0. As you know, Bungie threw out a ton of information in the last two TWABs from the last 2 weeks. And the reason I wanted to share this and talk with you today on the episode is I know we had a PvP episode in the past, but today is not so much about tips and tricks for PvP, getting into PvP. This is going to be kind of explaining how Bungie really does want newer players or returning players to get back into the Crucible. And they've made so many changes here that it's just for a player who's just getting back into the game or a new player who's just trying to learn the game. I figured we'd just go over this a little bit and kind of explain what it means to the newer Guardian out there, or maybe the person who doesn't play PvP a lot, right?
Yeah, and I think too, like, it's important to call out that, like, what we're seeing in changes, I think Rob said it best, is like, you're looking at changes like there were in Forsaken. Yeah. You know, this is really changing the game of Destiny and the Crucible, and really, like, just, it's a whole new meta, like how you play the game, how you approach it, like, so many things are changing. And you know what? That's good, because it's okay to, like, learn how to play a game you love differently.
Agreed. And like I said, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to just briefly, I mean, we only want to spend about an hour on this. We want to briefly go over the changes and have you weigh in, Fluffy, if you would, on what this really means and how to different, because we're going to explain how the Crucible really is going to change. And geez, a little over 2 weeks, I think, when this drops. I think it's March 8th or 11th or something.
No, 5th, March 5th, man. Like,
that's next week, man.
Next week, yeah. Yep.
So next week, this is all going to affect. Okay, let's talk. Let's talk. Well, there's 3 goals that they stated off the bat, and I want to read these verbatim because I can't explain it any better than how they did. They said the first objective, they want new players or returning players or people who don't play PvP normally. They said the 3 main problems they had when they jumped into PvP is they want to help players more clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their death, so that they can more easily learn how to improve. I mean, I'm big on getting better in Crucible and practice and watching your gameplay back and stuff. So this really, I mean, when people go into Crucible and they're just dead and they're just like, I didn't even see them, where'd they even come from, you know? It's frustrating. It is. The second goal they had was they want to alter the weapon sandbox to account for the increased average skill of our player base by reducing the amount of high reward, low risk options. In other words, we've been playing this game for a while. We're in our 10th year of Destiny, and probably like you, I've been playing since Destiny 1. So I learned real early how to play Crucible. And, even though I went kicking and screaming in Destiny 1 originally, but because we've been playing this game for so long, we kind of know we kind of know all the little tricks and what really works well in Crucible, especially for Crucible players. And the third thing that they want to do is they want to encourage primary weapon mastery to be the aspirational pursuit of players. In other words, gun skill. It's going to be all about gun skill. So what does this all mean? What does this all mean, Fluffy? I mean, what are the, I mean, I kind of gave you a few examples of what this means to me. What does it mean to you? I mean, what does it sound like Bungie's trying to do here?
I mean, the gun skill thing I see, you know, we see that in the previous patch notes around snipers and bows. They aren't necessarily nerfing them. They're just making it so that you have to hit your shots, right? And initially I was like, why are we touching snipers? They're already pretty punishing to use versus, and I'm comparing this to other games, right? Like, I can pick up a sniper in Call of Duty and slay out. But you pick up a sniper in Destiny and you have to hit that headshot. Like, you have to work on that timing and actually lining up the head. And whether you're flicking it or not, you're still, you know, and that's making a quick movement to snap to the head and pull the trigger. You still have to work on that, right? So, they're just making it so that window of opportunity to get a lucky headshot is smaller, and you just have to be better at it. And same thing with bows. Like, if you're gonna pick at people with a bow from distance, like, you're gonna have to hit your shots. You know, the further away you are, the less aim assist is gonna help. So, so we see that in just a pursuit for weapon mastery, right?
Right.
I try to be optimistic with Bungie in the past 3-4 years, because I feel like overall, when they make changes, the changes are usually well tested. I'm not saying they bat 100, but I'm saying that they bat really high compared to their previous track record of pushing changes. And we see that with a lot of weapons being very viable in the Crucible. And not just I can use them, but I can use them and there's a chance I could win. So I'm trying to be optimistic about the changes to special and one-hit kill weapons and everything like that. I assume that they tested them out. I guess we'll see when they roll out, but I think that that's kind of where they're going with point 2 is, you know, less of those shotguns, snipers, fusion rifles, you know, blinting with a grenade launcher, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see.
You want to explain to our newer Guardians out there what blinting is exactly?
Yeah, so blinting is you take a weapon that is easier to land damage with, and then you quick swap to a weapon to clean up. So wave frame grenade launcher is very popular for this. There's ones that you can roll with perks like disruption break. And what they do is if you get a kill with a kinetic weapon, it reloads your grenade launcher. So you can shoot the grenade launcher, the wave frame out, and before the wave even hits the opposing Guardian, you're already swapping to your hand cannon because there's a delay in the shot. So when you work at this, you basically shoot, quick swap to a hand cannon, a kinetic one like Ace of Spades, Rose, something like that, and you immediately fire.
Right.
Same thing can be done with a bow.
Yeah.
Bows are really deadly, actually. You don't see as many people running it, but someone who's very good with blinting with a bow is very, very hard to deal with. Like it's next to impossible. And the thing is they can shoot the bow and quick swap to a hand cannon to clean you up. And it's faster than taking that second shot with a bow. Right. And that opens up a lot of doors too with perks, you know, like a quick draw hand cannon or a hand cannon with quick draw and opening shot, so that when they do swap, they have extra aim assist on top to like kind of bend that bullet in the direction that they're trying to go. So
yep, exactly. And the bows are really hard to counter. Someone hits you with a bow and immediately flicks to a one-shot hand cannon and just hits you in the chest. Don't even have to hit you in the head.
Yeah,
it's so powerful on that first shot. So yeah, so what they're doing is they're curtailing the low risk, high reward stuff like that. And we talked about primary weapons and stuff. And I don't know how they're the first point about helping them clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their death. Destiny.
That's time to kill.
Yeah, time to kill. But here's the thing, Fluffy, is there are so many things that you can't see going on in real time, like kill clip. Like perks on your weapons that once you get a kill, your next kill, you're getting more critical damage or more damage overall. And sometimes you'll go, wait a minute, he one-shot me with a hand cannon. What's up with that? Well, maybe he had kill clip equipped. Maybe he killed someone and shot me.
I think that there is, the information's there. It's just whether you know where to look.
Right.
So kill perks is, did he kill me quickly? Okay. Did someone on my team die right before me?
Right.
Because if someone on your team died right before you, he has 3 or 4 seconds to clean you up with whatever kill perk he has.
Yep.
Unless he has something like Ace where it never goes away.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So you can pick up on that. Like, I definitely play with people where we've been playing and someone kills us really fast in a round, and it was okay. He had kill clip active, or he had a kill perk active.
Right.
You know, if he kills someone, just make sure that, you know, we're taking cover or we're team shooting appropriately. But yeah, it is hard. And I think, you know, they want to bring the time to kill up so people have more time to think in a gunfight. But, you know, again, like, if they're team shooting you, you're going to go down fast. And maybe you don't see the other person. So you're like, how did he kill me with 2 bullets? But he didn't. And unless you're recording your gameplay, you don't have the ability to slow it down and actually see what happened.
No theater system. Yep.
Yeah, I would say like 1% of the time it's connection. 99% of the time something logical happened. You just either are going to have to replay it and watch it and slow it down, or you have to think about all the events that took place around you at that time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, here's what Bungie's doing, and buckle up because they've made so many changes in the Crucible. It's just really not going to be the same. That's why I kind of term this Crucible 2.0 because I don't know about you, Fluffy, I've never seen them make such big changes, sweeping changes in Crucible in a long time. I'm trying to think. Even the the Go Fast update. Yeah.
Or abilities 3.0. Like, it's definitely a major shakeup of the game, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, here's what they're doing. First thing they're going to do, everybody's getting 30 more base hit points. So right now, I think you can max out at 200 hit points, or is it 201 or 100 100?
No,
without shields, just base.
Like
just base.
I don't know, just base. I think it's like 70 or something, and then you can do 130 with shields. Okay. Don't quote me on that, but it is like 2 or 201. A tier 10
is a max, right?
Something like that.
So they're adding 30 base hit points, which means with a full shield and with maximum resilience, you could be at it's like 230, I believe, is the total of your, and that doesn't seem like a big jump, but I think we're going to feel that. I think we're definitely going to feel that.
Especially if you add woven mail onto that.
Oh, God. Woven mail. I forgot about that, too. Well, the next thing they did is the ability uptime. They've decreased by 15%. I'm trying to numerically think about how this 15%, is that going to be enough to really buff or really nerf ability recharge rates? I'm trying to think what 15%. Have you tried to figure out what this means?
So this is where it'll be interesting on the show because you love Checkmate, and I love that Checkmate is there for people like you because okay. I got you. I like my space magic, and I like the abilities, and I like the combos that abilities bring to the table. People say ability spam, but man, it's a gameplay loop. And you just have to learn how to maximize your gameplay loop. And it can be fun, especially if you play different characters or play different subclasses or different, like instead of just loading in with the same thing all the time, like, hey, today I want to freeze people. So we're going to go, Stasis Warlock, or whatever it might be.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I get it. And we're so used to that loop as well now. So now they're curtailing the loop by 15%. We'll have to see how that plays out because it's hard to put that into, because everything has a different cooldown rate depending on the grenade you use, depending on how much, like for instance, you want a healing rift faster. If you have 100 recovery, you're going to max out the possible time you can do that. So it's definitely a moving target. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But just know that abilities, this is grenades, supers, actually grenades, your healing rift or your barricade wall or your dodges on your hunter, and also your powered melees, whether it's a throwing knife with a hunter or a super fist is with a titan or your little with the warlock, smack you in the face. I love that, how they do that there. The warlock punches. Poof. All right, whatever.
Yeah, the palm.
I don't like it.
I mean, there's that, but they also have like ball lightning. They have celestial fire. You have like the arc melee that if two people are standing by each other, you can slide like 5,000 feet and kill them both. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we do shoot fire from our hands. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Well, another thing they're going to change is the supers are decreased by 20%. Like I said, we'll have to see how that plays out. But I can tell you right now, supers have already been adjusted considerably where unless you have a bubble or a well, your super is going to take a while to get back as well, even with max intellect.
Yeah.
So
we were talking about this on the show, and someone brought up a good point. Like, it's pretty rare that you get your super in trials, unless you're running like well or bubble. Like, you typically don't ever get your super in a game like trials, and even comp. Like, it might be the end of the match, right?
It's very true.
So with them adding a 20% timer onto that, now I guess that says uptime and not charge time.
Right.
Because we were thinking are you just never going to have supers anymore unless you're playing sixes?
Right.
But I guess if it is uptime, maybe they're just decreasing how long your super lasts, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out for sure.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, we will have to see how that is. Well, because they've made all those changes I just mentioned, they of course have to balance it out. So the super damage is increased by 31%. In other words, when you use your super, you're going to have a much better chance of killing people with it. So, I mean, it takes so long to get it to begin with. So when you do get it, they want to make sure that it's viable, that it's viable. It's going to kill, at least a better chance of killing. You still got to be accurate and skilled at using it. The base melee damage are increasing by 16%. That way they keep the 2-punch kill alive, especially if it's powered. Arc flex grenades are the only grenade they increased. They increased it by 16%. What's going to happen with grenades, Fluffy? I mean, the grenades already take a while as it is. I mean, yeah, okay, you got Devour, you've got perks that'll get you a grenade back quickly. But if they're not catching up with the increase in health, I mean, right now, if I throw a Warlock grenade out right now, I'll be lucky to get half their damage using it.
Yeah, I think grenades are, and they have been for a while.
Right.
Like most grenades are either a prep tool or a finish tool.
Okay.
Depending on what type of grenade you have, it's pretty rare to get just a kill with a nade. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can definitely get lucky and whatnot, but a lot of times it's either you're throwing it because they're about to peek around that corner,
right,
and you want to take damage off of them while you're in your gunfight with them,
right,
or they tried to duck into cover and you have a grenade that might seek them out, like skip nades or an Axion bolt.
Yep.
Something like that, or threadlings, something that's going to chase after them while they're hurt.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, grenades, unfortunately, like we don't see one-hit kill grenades like we used to. They used to be something that you saw all the time. And I think people forget that. And
just a little hint or guide as far as Crucible bounties. If you get a Crucible bounty that says get 3 grenade kills, immediately dismantle it and flip the bird to Bungie, because good luck getting 3 grenade kills. You know what I have to do to get a grenade kill in a Crucible? I have to look for people fighting in a mass amount and just throw it in there and go, good luck. It's ridiculous. So if you get the grenade kill bounty in Crucible, just dismantle it. Draw for another one.
I mean, again, like you're going to have to, if you're trying to get the final kill with it, you're going to have to prep them with something else before you can get that kill.
I use Axiom bolts, Fluffy, just to flush people out of cover.
Yeah.
And sometimes they know it's not strong enough, and they know if they have full health, they can just sit there and take it. So it depends on the player.
I mean, it depends on the class I'm playing, like what I use for grenades. Like if I'm playing Hunter, I don't even have a nade. I just use grapple.
Right.
When I was playing Titan the other weekend, when I did like 4 resets at Saint 14, I used storm nades. And not because storm nades were like gonna kill anyone,
right,
but it was just to zone off an area.
It's disruptive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, here's what they are doing as far as overall weapon changes. The first thing they're going to do is all primary weapons are going to have an increased critical hit damage, except bows. That's very important. So pulse rifles, sidearms, auto rifles, scout rifles, all going to get a 14% increased critical hit damage. Now, you could say, yes, this is going to make them equal to what they are now as far as time to kill, just to keep up with the higher health of players going forward next week. Jeez, I can't believe it's next week. But
yeah,
the key word there, Guardians, is critical hit damage. So if you're hitting people with body damage, good luck. You better just load them up with bullets, because it's all going to be about getting the crit, which, let's face it, in any shooter game out there, it's all about getting the crit. Even in Call of Duty, doesn't matter what it is, all about getting that critical hit. So, very, very important.
Well, and it's weird because the changes being made are not 1-to-1 for player health. Right. So player health is going up 43%. So we were right. It was 70 as a base player health, and it's going up by 30 points. So it's 43%.
That's a lot.
But players can be anywhere in that range of, like, like we said, like 200 whatever is the max. I think it goes down to 170. So you're going to have that 30-40 point swing in players. And let's just assume that our player is, at like 10 resilience, so they're max health. Then they are only going up somewhere around 15%, right?
Okay.
Total. So some of this stuff is in line, and some of it is actually way less powerful than the amount of hit points that we're going to see.
That's right.
And I think the big thing here is we see a lot of words that say crit damage. Again, they're making people hit their shots, right? You have to hit your headshots. Yeah, you have to hit your headshots if you want to win. And what that's going to do is it's going to put a bigger gap between a skilled player and someone who is learning a weapon or practicing a weapon or trying to get better at their weapon, right? Like there's a much bigger gap now, because if I can hit my headshots and you are only going to hit one of 3 headshots, I'm going to win.
Yep.
And
so it reminds me of my Battlefield days when you are shooting each other and the guns are not the most accurate. You really have to focus in on getting the bullet trail up to the head, because it really is going to make the difference. And it is the difference between your good and average players. The next thing they're doing, hand cannons are getting a 10% increase critical hit damage, but man, they are getting slammed in the body damage. 5% reduced body damage. So if you factor the overall health increase minus 5%, man, hand cannons really got nerfed. They really got nerfed. I mean, if you look at the overall, if you don't hit headshots with your hand cannon, I don't know if it's going to be viable.
I mean, this is what I see when I look at that. Again, I think back to the example I just gave. If you're not accurate with your hand cannon, it's going to be more punishing against other weapons. The headshot increase is not going up as high as some other weapons, and it's not going up as high as we see the health points. So right off the jump, we see that hand cannons are getting a little bit of a nerf, but they're very strong. And if you can hit your shots with a hand cannon, you can outshoot a lot of people, because it's less shots that you have to get on target, right? Like, pulse rifles are really forgiving, but you miss shots with pulse rifles, right? And you can get away with it. With a hand cannon, it's much more obvious when you're not hitting your shots. You know what I mean? Like, so it'll be interesting to see how they play. I see a lot of speculation that say 120s are kind of going away because of this, and we're going to see a lot more 140 hand cannons.
Okay.
So, but again, Bungie play tested this, so it's all just making guesses until we can actually sit down, and no one's really gonna know until the end of March. This comes out March 5th. We need 2 or 3 weeks easy to really feel things out.
We might revisit this. We might revisit this in a future episode. Well, not only that, but the one thing I cannot stand, Fluffy, with hand cannon users is the flinch. So they're reducing that. Bullet flinch is 12% less and 10% less with explosive rounds. And I remember my explosive, I don't use hand cannons much, but if I had one with explosive rounds, it was a head knocker, man. I mean, you could counter snipers so easily with that hand cannon.
Yeah. So my God roll hand cannon just dropped last week, and it is a slide shot rose with explosive rounds. And it's for what you said. Like, I always try and slide everywhere I'm going. It's good habit. It keeps your head moving, different levels, right?
Your hitbox
you're harder to hit because you're moving up and down as you're moving forward instead of just running in a straight line. But the cool thing about slide shot is when you slide, it gives you extra range. When range helps with your target acquisition. It gives you a couple other things too. I don't remember them all offhand. But it also reloads your weapon. So before every gunfight, I'm already sliding. I slide in, I take my shots, explosive rounds flinch people. I can challenge a sniper. As long as I hit headshots, they're getting flinched. And then, you slide back into cover, your gun is reloaded.
Right.
Slide back out, you have full ammo. And you get all your perks again. So
I wonder if
I'm sad about this.
You just got that drop too. And and the 4% difference between, auto rifles, scout rifles, and sidearms, pulse rifles. And believe me, my ears perked up with sidearms because I love using sidearms.
Yeah.
You drew a gator with 2 sidearms in his hand.
I mean, I like sidearms. They're great.
Yeah. It takes skill to use them though. When you got a shotgunner running at you and you have a sidearm, you have to your movement speed, which let's face it, your movement in Crucible is one of the things that make you a better player as well, not just gun skill. And I wonder the reason there's 10% increased critical hit damage and not 14 like the other weapons is the fact that hand cannons have a giant hitbox. They're very generous. They're very forgiving toward the head. I don't know.
I really think they want to change up the meta. I honestly think it's because unfortunately, like, we have a wonderful community, but we also have a very loud community that likes to complain. And people complain about hand cannons. It's just, it's what the Destiny community does. I personally like them. I think they're one of the more rewarding weapons to use. And they're, that's just me. And I think there are a lot of fun ones out there. But I think what we're seeing is Bungie responding to the community, being salty a little bit about them. And that's fine. Maybe it changes things up for the better, And
higher skill players, you do use hand cannons. It's definitely a weapon of choice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to use a hand cannon to be high skill, right? Like there are definitely high skill players that will murder you with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the higher up you go, the more frequent they are for sure.
Definitely. Submachine guns, just briefly here, they're getting an increase in precision damage by 12.5%, but body shot damage is decreased by 3%. Fluffy is not happy. Why, Fluffy?
No, they've had their time in the sun, man. Like, I think they dominate too many ranges. Like, I will use them if I have to. But you like sidearms. Sidearms live in a very tiny hole between shotgun distance and SMG distance, and it's really hard, like, to take a good SMG user with a sidearm, right? You can do it. People do it.
I've done it, but I've lost a lot of battles to the Tempest. That Tempest, that seems to be what everyone's using. All the skilled players seem to be using that particular, probably because it has Envious Assassin on it and some other goodies, but
target lock.
That's it.
Yep.
So yeah. So I've lost a lot of battles to that because of that. Well, we'll see how that shakes out as well. But here's the important thing. No more bows. Get rid of the bows. Your base damage is reduced 15%. And I'm wondering, are bows even going to be viable in the Crucible? Will people still be able to blint? I don't think they're going to be able to blint with them. Unless you're hitting a low resilience Guardian. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see what numbers are going to be, like what headshot numbers and everything are going to be. But
right.
Again, bows have been very dominant.
Yeah,
so
changing it up.
Yep, change it up is good.
And Bungie's known to do that. So, well, here's how they're changing the game type. Because special ammo, I'll just tell you right now, special ammo is going to be very powerful, no matter what you're using. But here's the catch. At the beginning of a game, you'll get 2 kills worth of this special ammo, and then it's gone for the rest of the game. You don't get it back on death like you do now. So here's how it works. There's going to be a special ammo meter that immediately goes into effect. So every 100 points will grant you 2 more kills of special ammo. So if it's a shotgun, you're going to get 2 shots in a shotgun, which is equivalent to possibly 2 kills. So you're going to get 2 shotgun shells every time you get 100 points on your special ammo meter. And probably the next question is, well, all right, Gator, well, how do I raise my points the fastest? How am I going to get my ammo to, and it immediately appears in your inventory, already locked and loaded in your special weapon, which is very nice. But the base way to get those special ammo is you're going to get a point. You're going to get a certain amount of points for things you do in the game. And I really like this, Fluffy. 23 points for kills, 10 points for assist, 10 points for a death.
Not suicide.
I know, I was getting to that. I know it's a sore subject with me jumping off maps. Control zone caps, 14 points. Heavy ammo pulled, 8 points. But keep in mind, it's not shared anymore. So only one person is going to be able to pull that heavy ammo from now on. So 8 points for that. If we're talking about elimination or Dominion, which is basically your trials matches, 38 points for kills, 16 for assist, 16 for death, 10 for heavy ammo pull. And like I said, heavy ammo is not going to be shared going forward. unless it states it in like a party game or some kind of game that there's a few games that are going to offer heavy crates everywhere. That'll be different. So 3v3, 26 points for a kill, 12 points for assist, 11 points for a death. Rumble, a flat 30 points for a kill. Countdown, you arm a charge, you get 20 points. Defuse a charge, you get 40 points. And if it ends up going off and you're the team that sets it off, 70 points. So couple notes here, couple caveats here. There's no progress if you get kills with that special ammo or the heavy that you pull. It's not going to go toward your not going to go towards your meter, filling it up. Jumping off the map subtracts your meter. Okay, so no more blinking off the map. Special ammo is not dropped on death. And once you earn it, you've earned it. It's yours until you use it, which is really nice. No more people sliding and picking up the special brick once they kill you. And earned special ammo, this is important, will carry over round to round, especially in round-based comp matches and stuff like that. What do you think, man? What do you think of all this? Is this a good thing? Or how do you think this is going to play out, Fluffy?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Oh, well. Okay, let me rephrase that. I think that I am optimistic that Bungie play tested it.
Right.
I love my fusion rifles.
Yes.
My problem. Okay, so this is my problem, especially on an episode like this where we're talking to people who are maybe getting into Destiny, right?
Right.
How do you practice? How do you practice to be a better sniper? How do you practice to be a better shotgun user or a better fusion user if you never have ammo to practice with?
I guess the shooting range behind the weapon crafting, because that'll autofill. You'll autofill after you deplete your ammo. It'll autofill. But in game, I agree.
Teach you anything?
That's
yeah,
true.
like it. You know, you don't. So I guess my biggest concern with this, not my biggest, but one of the big problems I see with this is like you really handicap people from excelling. So the people that are already good with it, they already put their time in. They know how to use the weapons, right?
Good point.
They have a much smaller ceiling to hit to get, whatever the new weapon is that drops, right? But if there's a new hotness and you're new to the game, you don't get to put those reps in. You don't get to play those games and try 2 shots every time you spawn and fail and try and fail and try and fail and try and fail over and over and over again. And I think that that's important. I think that there's something to be said about having the opportunity to fail over and over and over again and have ammo to do so. So so that's not great, right? But okay, let's look at the positives, because there are positives out of this. I might not like what they're doing with my ammo, but I really like what is going on with keeping ammo. I can't tell you how many times I've been rezzed in like an elimination or a trials match, and I don't have any special ammo, and that's really hurtful, especially if it's like a high intensity moment.
Yep. So
it will be nice to like res, and if I'm running a fusion, know that I have ammo ready for me if I died with it, that is.
Yeah, that's good point.
So that's cool. I think it's cool that you keep it round to round, right? You build it up, that's great. You get to keep it. It does take some perks out of the game, like kill clip. You're not going to be reloading anymore.
Oh my god, that's right.
There's some reload. There's some reload like perks like outlaw and stuff like that kind of become obsolete. So like it messes with some existing builds. It'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. Okay.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think about those perks. So yeah, they're breaking the mold. They're not this isn't a minor adjustment. This is a major shakeup.
That's the thing, man. I'm hoping I'm hoping they play tested it really well, and the overall package is a bonus, is a plus, right? That's like no one's gonna love everything, but hopefully the general consensus is this is a fun new way to play PvP.
And here's the thing too, and this brings me on my next point. Trace rifles, fusion rifles, shotgun damage, all increased by 20%. which I watched Lego's video about the update on fusion rifles, and we're going to have a lot more forgiveness in these weapons as far as bolts to kill, pellets to kill, because your power is getting increased by, your damage is getting increased by 20% across the board. So maybe I agree, other than the first round or the first time they spawn in the game, will they be able to use that special? But keep in mind, if they go around and play the objective, they're playing control, they're taking zones, or they die even, it goes to that meter. So maybe they might get it more often if they play the objective more often, instead of just sitting back in the map and just farming kills and stuff, which I don't know, man. Let's see if you, okay, let's just take control, right? Let's just go with a base game. I'm getting 23 points if I kill someone. If I shoot someone and someone else kills them, I get 10 points. If I die, I get 10 points. I get 14 points if I cap a control zone. So, I mean, I think we'll that see, I think sixes are definitely more likely that you'll see it. Mm-hmm.
I think that people who are in threes, that maybe are not the strongest player on their team, might not see special ammo as much. You know, there's definitely games that I play where someone might get 2 kills. Right?
That's true. In a whole game, yeah.
In a whole game, yeah. So they're never generating ammo, even with deaths. They're not generating ammo, you know.
That's true. Okay.
We'll see. Again, well, you know,
I mean, it's early, and like I said, maybe we'll have a follow-up episode where we look back and see how these changes have improved or how they've hurt the game. Maybe it's something we can talk about in the future. They did nerf a few things here, and I'm going to be very brief here. Fighting Lion spam is probably going to be less now. That goes back to the blinting. They've decreased the power or the damage 20% on that. No more huge flinch from the Crimson hand cannon, which I used to crutch on that, I'll be honest. 17.5% reduced flinch, I think is going to make a difference. The charge beam on the Devil's Ruin, they decreased that by 15%. I think the reason they did that is because Devil's Ruin takes primary ammo.
Yeah, it's a workaround.
Yeah, it's a way they don't cheese the system. Symmetry Revolution rounds, you know, the charge rounds for that when you get so many kills, 16% more damage. Forerunner damage increased 20%. I'm not happy with this. But I realized, then I got to thinking about it. Forerunner special ammo, isn't it?
Yep.
That's why.
It's special ammo. It'll still be viable, but like Drogan was on our show this week, and he runs Forerunner with sidearm a lot.
Yeah, I played against him.
And Forerunner is his distance gun, and he uses the nade on it too that you generate.
Right.
And he was saying, you know, it's won't be using that grenade because it eats ammo, and whether you can still run it or not as a long distance range weapon, you know, it'll be interesting to see. Again, I don't know that we're going to see it dominate, but it is a very strong weapon. It's very accurate.
Very strong. 20%. Okay, 15%. I think you said 43% increase in health and 20.
Yeah, well, it's deceptive. Like
it depends on your resilience
on health, right? But if you're looking at like a stat of 200 and we're talking 30, we're talking 15%.
Okay.
Right.
So that means Forerunner is going to gain 5%. I mean, this is highly speculative. But we'll have to see how that plays out. I know no one respawns in real life likes to just go invisible for 30 seconds and walk up behind you and shoot you in the head with it. So I mean, the thing I really am liking about these changes, and maybe me and you disagree on this, is I hate cheesy kills. I hate kills because you can spam this ability and then easily pick it off with the weapon. I'd rather someone kill me with the weapon. I know how I died. My gunfight versus their gunfight, I sucked. I die. I lose. But when you start factoring in flaming balls of fire from my hand as a solar warlock and then just whipping out my weapon to finish them off, at least it'll be less frequent in Crucible. But like you said, you like your space magic. You've mentioned that before. I think this will at least allow newer players to take a breath and not just get overwhelmed with a bunch of ability stuff coming at them when they're just trying to learn how to use a pulse rifle, you know?
Well, again, I think if there's a place in the Crucible for things like Checkmate where you have almost no abilities and it's all primary gunplay, I think that's great. I just don't want them to get too far away from what makes Destiny unique.
Yeah.
You know, I can go play any game out there and there's some form of primary ammo shooting, right?
Right.
But like Borderlands is special because Borderlands has unique weapons and they play a certain way. And I think Destiny is special because it has a unique aerial atmosphere to it. Right. And I think the guns play a certain way. And it's more than just pulse rifles and hand cannons and auto rifles. You know what I mean? So
I've had plenty of people say, Gator, this isn't Call of Duty. This isn't Battlefield. Quit trying to make it that way. This is Destiny. Well, we have our space magic.
It's okay for you to like what you like. It's okay for there to be things like Checkmate. Like I think if the community likes that, then I think Bungie would be silly not to have that there.
Right.
But they can have a node for it without making it the only way to play it.
Right. Well, question I have before we get to the rewards that they're going to be offering in Crucible, the increased rewards, make people want to play it more. Bungie wants more people to play PvP. A lot of the veterans have left the game, are playing Helldivers and what else? There's a ton of shooters out there right now. They're trying to bring some fresh players in where they can maybe learn how to play better. But here's my question. Do you think these changes are going to help new players or hurt them? Because we're not compressing the skill gap anymore. We're actually widening it a little bit, especially at the high level of play.
I think there's a couple different ways that you can look at this. Honestly, I think the more time you give someone in time to kill, the more that a higher level player succeeds. The more opportunity you give a high level player to react to you and to take you out, and the more opportunity you allow a less skilled player to miss shots.
Right.
I don't think that makes it easier for the new player. There's a reason why we have a Call of Duty group in one of the Discords, and I was giving them a hard time because in our tiny Call of Duty community amongst our friends, whenever anyone selects hardcore, they say hardcore is for people who can't aim. And so our Call of Duty friends were talking in this other Discord about how they love hardcore. And I'm like, hardcore is for people that can't aim, because it really it's more about who sees who first.
It's time to kill.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you go into regular core mode, it's more about who can aim. It's still a really fast TTK.
Yeah.
But there's that opportunity where aiming comes into play, right?
Gotcha.
And so the more we see Destiny push out this kill timer, the more opportunity there is for someone who can hit their shots to win more engagements.
Right. Well, before we get to the rewards, they talked about the matchmaking changes, and the TLDR basically is they gave us a really great explanation of how they're trying to improve matchmaking. But in the end, they were like, well, we're working on it. And here's my take on this. I want to hear your take too. I don't think Bungie has the luxury right now. I don't think the player base is big enough for them to make aggressive matchmaking changes. I think there's such a narrow band of players now. Skill level's wide, but it's very shallow. It's a shallow pool of players to pull from. So I think right now the reason they might have stated that case is the fact that we don't have a ton of newer Guardians that we can mix in with other newer Guardians. They're going to have to play against some veteran players just because that's the player base right now.
Yeah, I mean, God. So I was actually really, really impressed when I played Trials the other weekend. I alluded to this a little bit in the show, but I played enough matches to reset my rank 4 times in 4 days, or in 3 days. No, it was 4 days because I had Monday off.
Nice.
So from Friday afternoon to Monday. And I had very few matches where I was waiting more than a minute to match with people. So the Trials population was really big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I go into something like Comp. Even today, this morning, when I played Comp, I might have a minute or two in between matches easy while it's trying to find 6 people to play. and I'm playing solo, so I can be stuck in all sorts of weird combinations.
Right.
So I do agree with you that in some game modes, the population might not be that great. And the population of Destiny in general is down. We all know that. It happens all the time. Mid-season. This is a long season. And again, like you said, Helldivers is great. Warzone just came out with a bunch of stuff and ranked. Call of Duty Season 2 dropped.
Right.
Lots of great games out there, right? For people to play. So they're going to do what they do. I think the place where we agree, Gator, is that Fireteam matchmaking kills things like Iron Banner. And I personally think it kills things like Trials. I think that Destiny needs to be about friends. And I was really proud of Bungie because it seemed like they fully understand this concept. Like when they broke it down, I was reading and I'm like, they really understand my beef with Fireteam matchmaking. And they gave some really valid points on why X won't work and why Y won't work and what doing this does to the population and the negative effects of that. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, they really just kind of laid out, we understand the pain points. We are working on them. We have no solutions.
Yep.
And so I hope that them understanding the problem leads to them coming to a good solution.
Yeah, it's everybody knows I've been a little bit on the grumpy side this season. I've been very salty and I don't know why. It's just, I think Iron Banner used to be so fun. I used to love grouping up with the GDC guys and playing a full 6. And we'd have games where we get stomped. There'd be games where we go up against some really good teams. And then there'd be games where we stomped. But all I can tell you is I've noticed that it is so much in the other direction now. Like I talked to Scarlett on last week's show. I said we had a 10-game mercy streak. 10 games where we got mercied every game. We're not terrible players. I mean, we have a mix of, there's some people in there that, Princess runs around with a glaive. Monkey's corrupted her. And, they're improving that. They're improving the glaive damage. The projectile damage is going up as well. So she'll be more viable there going into this change next week. But it just seems like every time I turned around, Fluffy, there were 4 guns pointing at me. And the other team was on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think I understand why they implemented it. I don't think that they said that they understand these points, but I don't think that they really understand how horrible it is to things like Iron Banner. Iron Banner should be a party mode. Mm-hmm. It should just be like the best connection you can get. And everyone understands that it is roll the dice on how your game is going to go.
Right.
But I really think that the more they focus on Fireteam matchmaking, I think people who feel it the most are everyone mid skill level and below. If you are my skill level or below, and you try and go into trials, you're not going to have a good time because of Fireteam matchmaking. Like, there's just no chance of you going flawless.
No, you
not as a 3-stack.
Do you go in with a team of 3 typically, or do you play solo?
Yeah, if I go in with a team of 3, that I have to be the worst player on the team if we're thinking about doing anything.
I got you.
And that sucks. Like, it shouldn't be that way. There should be more opportunity for people to win or lose, Yeah. And I don't think that everyone should just be handed a participation trophy. Like, I get that.
I agree.
But I think that Fireteam matchmaking makes it exponentially harder.
Yeah, I was just looking up. I jumped into Trials first time in 6 months. I played Trials because it was, like you said, you reset your thing. How many hours did you have to play to get reset it 4 times? I'm just curious. Do you know off the top of your head?
I have no idea.
No?
Dude.
Do you play like a few hours a day? Or?
The thing was, it was like a perfect storm. All of the weekend plans got canceled because I was sick, and because no one else was sick, I lived in my office as much as I could. Like, I tried to go on walks and do things to, like, promote not being sick anymore. But there was actual reason for me to be away from my family. So it was a lot.
Pulling up the trials report for my last week of playing, because I played solo. I got my 7 wins pretty quickly. Not flawless. It's luck of the draw when you're playing Crucible, and you can have a team where they're just they're wiping out quick and you're running for your life half the game. And then there's teams where you sit back and it's like, it's beautiful, man. These people are killers. They're charging in. I'm behind them giving them support, making sure I get the kill in if they happen to die. But, gummit. Well, anyway, I was pleasantly surprised. I played solo, and I think I probably averaged about a 1.2 to 1.5 KD. I had about I probably averaged around a 2 KDA. And I had games where I had a 1 KD. I had other games where I had a 4 KD. It would just vary widely. But I'll tell you what, though, it brought me back to trials because I actually enjoyed playing solo trials. And granted, you don't know who you're going to get. There's no comms. So you have to be somewhat know what you're doing to play solo without comms, because you have to know that if a player's running in, both players are running in to finish off, they get that initial kill. You have to run in behind them. You have to stick with the team. And I tell you, that can teach a new player a lot. And, playing solo in trials, you will learn quickly. But the thing I love about trials, and I mentioned this last week with the Scarlet show, it's like doing a do-over. It's the best way to learn how to play a map at this game type. Like I played, Dead Cliffs. That was the week we both played. If I would do really badly on Dead Cliffs where we just got smoked, they came right at us, they did this and did this, I learned immediately what I did wrong and how to improve it. Well, guess what? They launched you right back in the game again with a fresh new set of players. It was fantastic as far as learning the map and learning the flow of the game very quickly. And win or lose, I think you still end up in a positive there because the rewards were increased, and I didn't reset mine yet. I only played 1 card. Once I got 7 wins, I played a few more on Monday before reset, and I was done. But it's the most I played in 6 months. Hey, thanks again for listening to the Destiny Help Desk podcast. You can check out all of my contact information at destinyhelpdeskpodcast.com or visit my Twitter X at Todd the Gator. Remember, that's 2 Ds and GATR. And finally, my YouTube channel at Todd the Gator. You can email me at toddthegator@gmail.com for any questions or comments. And if you have a question for the show, you can also send me a voice message at speakpipe.com/Destiny Help Desk, where your message may be played live on a future show. I welcome your questions, as that's my way of helping you. And who knows, maybe there's another Guardian out there with the same question, so you may be helping others without even knowing it. Please rate and review the show on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever podcast app you use, and that review may help make this show visible to other Guardians out there as well. So thank you, and later, Guardian. Bungie's trying to make the rewards equal to PvE. Everyone could play a Grandmaster and get tons of stuff, or play a dungeon and get cool armor and stuff. So what they're doing here, and I'm gonna really breeze through this. Just examples of the ways they're trying to bring people back to Crucible. They're going to be bringing 3 new maps in May. It's not this drop. It's going to be in May, right before the final shape. We're going to have Eventide Labs on Europa, Cirrus Plaza on Neomuna, and Dissonance on a terraform pyramid ship. I can't wait to see that map. The question, I was curious, do you think they're going to bring back any of the past maps too with this, or is this it? They didn't mention it.
More maps is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Quality of life stuff, better respawn locations, especially closer to the action, especially in Rift. Better heavy and ammo spawn and tiebreaker spots. We all both know about that. General Crucible rewards, increased end of match rewards, including more glimmer and enhancement cores. I've said it time and time again. There's no real way to farm enhancement cores. And it seems like we need those for everything now. It seems to be the currency we're running out of a lot of. I mean, I burnt through 1,500. I'm now at 300. And I'm not doing anything great. I'm just upgrading a ghost or upgrading some armor or, masterworking a weapon, things like that.
Dude, I had 96 engrams at the end of the weekend. I had 0 at the beginning. So focusing 96 engrams.
Ooh, yeah.
I restocked my Glimmer 4 times.
And you have to use legendary shards, right?
Well, it's the smart thing to do because they're going away.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But it was the Glimmer cost that got you, right? 25.50 a pop.
I don't even remember what it was, but I reset to 500,000 4 times.
I did a little bit. I've got the pulse rifle I wanted with Headseeker because I didn't have one on this my main account, and that's another thing. I'm curious how Headseekers are going to work next season. I think it'll be a strong perk because if you're hitting body damage and by the time you work up to the head, you're going to get increased critical damage on top of the increase that you're already getting with the rifle. So I think that's going to be a strong perk. Let's see. Here's the main thing for comp. They really want people to play comp. So right now, if you play 3 games of comp, you get the Belisarius pulse rifle. It's a high impact, 4 burst pulse rifle. I really like it. I've got a Headseeker roll on that. I'm really happy I've gotten one of those. If you play 3 more games, you get an Ascendant alloy, which those are pretty rare. They cost a lot to get, so that's worth it for me to play 3 more games. Well, if you play, I think 3 more games and you win after that, reaching that threshold, you're going to get a chance to get Artifice armor, which if you don't know what Artifice armor is, think of armor that has an extra slot where you can put another mod in it. It's really nice. And it's usually pretty high stat armor too, to boot.
Is that after the alloy? For sure.
It's after the alloy. Yeah, I think they
thought
said,
it was just after the initial three matches.
Oh, no. You have to go. They're wanting people to play longer.
Okay.
Yeah, I read that 3 or 4 times. You have to play longer than your alloy. It's after you get the alloy, there's another threshold you can, if you want to keep playing, where the Artifice armor will drop. And let's just say you have to play a dungeon on master difficulty right now to get one of those. And I've had people offer to run me through them. I've been lazy, man. I'm not exactly thrilled to do master events because the rewards typically aren't the greatest.
What we did is you wait till the end of the season when your artifact is really high. Right. And this is before these changes, right? Come next week, it won't matter.
Right.
But if your artifact's really high, then your light level's really high, and then you get a checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain bosses that you can farm that are not horrible.
Right.
And so we did that. So I already loaded up
nice.
2 of my 3 characters with Artifice armor. But here's the thing. Artifice armor gives you more opportunities for builds.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to slot free perk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in your best interest to play multiple characters this way and build up armor. So I think it's really smart.
The nice thing about this, though, Fluffy, is you don't have to be light level to play extra comp. So it's an extra option for people to get the Artifice armor. And basically, it's a chance to drop on a win. And you have to be at least gold 3. So if you're in a silver right now, you need to work your way up to gold 3. It's the first level of gold. It's where I fell when I did my 7 trials matches. I fell right into gold 3. And you have to be at least that to be able to qualify for this extra perk. But remember, it's a chance to drop, and it has to be after you reach the challenge for the week, then you have to get
and I think they just place everyone in gold 3 unless you're Ascendant.
No, I have friends that have fallen in a lot less than gold 3. Yeah.
Well, right. I'm sorry. I think gold 3 is the highest you can go unless you've been Ascendant.
It is.
So
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Every time I do my 7 matches, I'm in gold 3. It just seems to be where a lot of your average players fall. So it's not asking too much. I mean, Warcry's in gold now, and he started out in silver, I think. But even Panda, who's coming back and trying Crucible for the first time, he's working his way up into gold as well. So just a couple things I wanted to mention about trials. They really want people to try trials, and even if you're not a killer, they're giving some really good benefits here. First, they're changing the passive of Ferocity card, where if you're not flawless for the week yet, after 3 wins, losses will reset you back to 3 wins. Basically, you can retry getting that 4-win streak to go flawless as many times as you want to try. And sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just luck. That might be a path for me to go to the lighthouse. Then they have Passage of Persistence, and this is interesting. This is a brand new card. Losses after a win will take away the win. It's like a trailing backstop. But the goal is to get consecutive wins, because a loss after a win will only take away the most recent win. So if you get a 2-win streak and then you lose your next game, you're not going back to you're not getting a flawed card. You're going back to a 1-win. See what I'm saying? So if you keep building up those 2-win streak games, eventually you'll get to your 7 wins, and it won't be a flawed card. A flawed card. You can get the adept weapon that they're offering for flawless players that you go to the lighthouse to get, but you aren't going to be able to go to the lighthouse. Keep that in mind. It's just for the people. It gives them a chance to get that adept weekly weapon that they offer only to people who go flawless. So say, you don't have the killer team out there and you just want to get that adept sniper rifle that they're offering this week. This is a way you can do it. Let's see. I just, like I said, it just gives people another option to play the game and it's not as punishing. So
I think it's great. I think it's great. I think that the more people you get into trials, the better the population is, the easier the games are for people.
Exactly.
I think that people getting rewards is a good thing. There's no reason that adept weapons need to be locked behind whether or not you're a 2.0 player or have 2.0 player friends.
Right.
I think that it's cool that people can get access to the weapon. You know what? They don't have access to, the ships, the sparrows. They don't have access to the endgame loot that comes out of the chest. They don't have access to the memento. There's a bunch of stuff that they don't get. And so for everyone that's concerned about that, you still get a bunch of stuff. Like, good for you. You get the things that are hard to get.
Yep.
The only person that cares is you. Mm-hmm. I think it's rad that other people can get awesome weapons. Like, if you love a weapon and you don't have a chance of going flawless, I love that you can put in the time and get a weapon. And you know what? You might get a shit roll. Like, I've focused 96 engrams. I kept 8 weapons.
Wow.
That's RNG for you.
Wow, it's every 12th weapon you had to jump.
Yeah.
You got a good weapon after 12.
I focused, for my hand cannon, I focused over 100 engrams just for one hand cannon and never got the roll I was chasing.
RNG.
So, like, you know what? You might get lucky, you might not. But you know what? You still have it. And I don't know about you guys, but I always keep my adept weapons in my vault, even if they're a crappy roll.
Yep.
I mean, unless I have multiples of them, because you know what? You might never get that weapon again. Yep. And it's kind of cool. It's like a little trophy, right? So you put in the time, you earned it. Good for you.
Yep. And you can slot adept mods into these weapons, which gives you even more aim assist, even more stability, even more damage to big yellow bars and stuff.
Yeah, the big ones is great.
Big one. That's a great one.
For PvE,
yes.
Yeah, it's great.
And people are probably saying, well, I can't go to the lighthouse, so I'm never going to get adept mods. Well, here's the thing. You can get them playing Grandmasters. So there you go. There's a loop for you. Just a little tip. You don't have to go flawless to get your adept mods. You can collect all those adept mods, and once you unlock them, once they drop, you're unlocked. They're good. It doesn't matter if it's PvP or whatever. You have that adept mod. And
if you really want them, and you enjoy playing trials, and you love this Passage of Persistence, maybe you'll go flawless. Like, maybe not now, but dude, put in some time, put in some weekends, like, play some games. You'll see yourself getting better if you're coming at it with an approach of, I want to learn something and I want to better myself. Like, listen to podcasts, watch people, watch your gameplay. Like, you can get that stuff. It's just, what is the time investment for you?
It's like anything in life, Fluffy. You just got to put the time in, man. You got to put the time in to get better. It's all about, well, I'll say it. It's all about getting your reps. You got to get your reps in.
I mean, it is, man. Practice makes perfect.
Exactly. You mentioned that you hated playing in teams of 3. Well, Bungie's at least giving you a better reward system.
I love playing in teams of 3.
Oh, but
I hate that it's scaled so.
Right.
I can't be the best player in my team of 3, and we can have success, right?
I'm right there with you, man. If I bring a team of 3 in, I have to be the one being carried, or at least the lieutenant. I can't be the captain. I can't be the one running the show. It's just not my style. And I'm not good enough to carry people in trials. So they are giving you a 50% chance of a non-adept weekly trials weapon for completing a game. Also a 50% chance of a trials engram to drop. You know how important those are. You get additional trials rep, like it was a bonus week. And like I said, their goal is to encourage people to get your friends together and jump in there. There's no punishment for losses, in other words, other than obviously we'll go flawless, but hey, it's the way you learn. I mean, and I tell you, if right now, if I had to do it over again, I would get 3 people that like to play trials that maybe aren't the best. And as you play more and more with these 3 people, the 2 other people, you learn their play styles and you learn what they're going to do in a certain situation. And it's almost like a sixth sense. You just know how they're going to play. And when it comes down to it's go time, we got a second to do something here. You just kind of know what they're going to usually do. And that just comes from playing with these people, you know, every time you get a chance.
Yeah.
So, new game modes. They have a new King of the Hill coming. It's a 3v3. They're putting this in Crucible Labs called Collision. There's a single larger zone that rotates between 5 areas around the map. It's on a timer. Capturing and controlling it will earn team points. There's 4 special ammo crates that are going to spawn at the beginning of the round, and then on a timer. I think it's heavy crates too. I'm not sure about that, but keep in mind it's shared. Everybody gets ammo. So that's the one I mentioned earlier. That's the one time you can share ammo, or pick up bricks is from this game type. Iron Banner tribute. They're working on it. A new modifier called Hardware.
They're working on it. Yay.
Take a drink. A new modifier called Hardware will be tested in Crucible Labs. They heard me. They heard me, Fluffy. No abilities, only weapons. Battlefield, here we come.
See, but that's the thing. Like, this is cool because you can jump in that and play it and like scratch that itch, right? Without them having to make the game about that.
That's true.
I think that's the right approach.
I get it. And here's the thing. You mentioned, how do I practice with my special? Well, special and heavy will drop in crates around the map on timers. So everyone will be able to, it's just going to be basically this game type is going to be perfect for learning gun skill, whether it's a special weapon or a heavy weapon or just your normal primary. So, all right, well, let's get to the nitty gritty. This is the reason I brought you on the show, Fluffy. Everybody, if they've listened to Guardian Downcast or Potato Thumbs podcast, you already know all that stuff we just talked about. I just wanted to reiterate it. I wanted to put the lay of the land out there, and so people know what these changes actually mean. That's why I wanted Fluffy to chime in. But here's the question.
Okay.
These changes are making the trials.
Yes.
Are they going to bring more casual players in?
I think yes.
Okay.
I think that they did. I think that they made incentives better for comp and trials, for threes in general. I think we can just say, which is great.
So yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I think that threes is a very important game type. I think that sixes are fun, and there's something to be said about a party mode, and I think that it's a good time hanging out with friends and shooting people in sixes. But if you're trying to improve, or you're trying to like control the gameplay, control the map, control what's going on, and put odds in your favor, like threes is where you're going to learn. It's where you're going to grow, and it's where you're going to get better. And so I think that it was mostly good throughout the entire update that they've given us the past 2 weeks with the TWAB, right? I think that, again, I have my feelings about matchmaking, and I think that I think that can make just as significant, if not a more significant, improvement on people's experience in the Crucible. But since they can't do that, I think that there's a lot of good fixes and band-aids that they have come out with, and I'm optimistic to see what it does. Like, hopefully it brings people back. Like, some people might not be touching it until new maps come.
Right.
Some people have, I have personal friends that have already signed off and said, I'm not touching it until final shape. So it will be interesting to see what happens, but I know I'm going to be there. I'm going to be playing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Here's the way I think of Here's the way I think of Iron Banner and six game modes, 6v6 game modes. It's a target-rich environment. You got enemies coming at you all the time. It's like Rumble. Sure. Every time you turn the corner, it's going to encourage a fight. You're going to see someone on radar. As soon as you spawn in, someone's within 40 or 50 paces. You're going to easily go to them and have a gunfight. And for sixes, it's chaos. And you told me a long time ago, and I knew this deep down, but I was too stubborn to admit it. You can't control the game in sixes. You can't control the spawns. You can't control.
Yeah.
I mean, in control the game type, you can try to control the spawns by holding two zones and letting them spawn at their zone. Yes, you can do that. But eventually someone's going to wander in there and get too far in, and then they're going to spawn behind you, and then all chaos, all hell breaks loose. So it's just going to happen. It's just the nature of the game. Threes, though, I have more fun playing threes, hands down. I even dare to say it's more fun than Iron Banner. Because one, you know where the people are on the map, you know where they're spawning. It's much slower pace. It's not so chaotic. And it really makes you use your reasoning and your objective skill set to determine the best outcome for you.
Yeah. And if you're with your team, it's pretty even odds.
Yep.
Like the thing that you run into a lot in sixes is you're going to find yourself doing well and coming around a corner and there's 2 or 3 people there and one of you. Where in threes, the only time that there's 2 or 3 people there and one of you is either they've killed your 2 teammates,
yes,
or you've made a very bad decision beyond your skill level and you shouldn't be flanking, right?
Yep.
But otherwise, like if you stick with your team, if you watch where your team is going, like again, if you're learning, you might not get it right away, but if you're paying attention, you're going to start picking up on trends. You're going to start picking up on how to play and how to be successful.
Very well put. Well put. The Artifice armor, do you think that's going to make people play comp longer?
I mean, I think it's great. I play comp because I have time to play comp.
Right.
So if I play for a long period of time, it's because that's my game time for the night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's more a factor of there's never been good rewards than anything else. So I think that's great that they're bringing something of value, because honestly, like all that armor is right now in comp is a shard, because it's going to be a 50 stat roll.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be good.
Nope.
It's not going to be for people who don't know, like, you have your stats split up in 2 spots and the total is 68 for legendary armor. And you have 34 up top and 34 in the bottom 3 stats. Mm-hmm. And, once you get to endgame stuff, if your rolls are 66 and below, you might be throwing everything away. So you see a 50, you don't even look at it. So I think as long as they come with high stat armor, as long as we're consistently seeing things in the 60s, that's great.
In this armor, you can actually use for grandmasters and builds and stuff. It seems to me that build crafting is going to be it's not that it's going to be not important, but it's going to be less important in Crucible now going forward, and way more important when making builds to do, say, a grandmaster or a raid or something high level in PvE. Would you agree with that? And you don't have to.
I don't know. Like, I play very differently in PvE and PvP. And in PvP, all of my mods are, first and foremost going to my stats, to get my resilience and recovery and mobility where I want it. Now that's going to change next week. So, excuse me. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
That's going to change next week, and so we'll see what the resilience numbers are. As of this recording, you'd want to be like at a 6.
Right.
And then anything above that, you might be wasting. Well, so again, like, I think that part of the build crafting for PvP is still going to be there. It's just what are the new values going to be?
Right.
But the other thing for me is, like, I use a lot of mods to enhance the guns that I'm playing with.
Right. Targeting mods.
if it's a fusion rifle, I need targeting mods on it to help with the aim assist. If it's a slow reload gun, I want to reload, or if it's slow to draw, I want dexterity on it. If it's special ammo, this doesn't come into play anymore, but I put a holster mod on it, so I never have to reload. So if I see ammo, I know that it's in the chamber. So I think that mods will still make a difference. It's still, if you slide over an orb, you want something that's going to regenerate health and shield for you, or, whatever it might be. So I still think we'll see that. It'll just be maybe an adjustment on what's the most important stats.
Yeah, I halfway agree with you, because I'm probably not going to change much on because I have different builds for Crucible, way different than I do for Grandmasters or PvE or raids or stuff. I agree, it's totally different. But I will probably still, obviously holster mods probably aren't going to work for special weapons anymore, but the mods that I currently use right now just aren't going to be as potent. They're not going to, the uptime is going to be slower overall. So I still probably need to have these in place to offset it at least a little bit, but it may change how I make builds in PvP. It'll be more on recharge stuff, maybe more so important than I don't know about you, but I use a lot of, if you pick up an orb type mods, you pick up an orb, you get more grenade energy. You pick up an orb, you get some health. You pick up an orb, you have more, you get damage with a grenade, you get more melee damage, and vice versa. You got all these different, that's the mods that I tend to use in Crucible.
See, I don't use those in Crucible. That's
really?
like my PvE stuff. Yeah,
really?
In PvE I use mods that feed other things, but in Crucible, it's 100% enhance the weapons.
Right. Okay.
I'll use like Reaper to create orbs.
Right.
And I'll pick up an orb to regen health, but it's not because that's the best option. It's because there aren't any better options, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like if it was increase your health or grenade energy, or it's your gun is going to reload faster, I want whatever's going to keep me in the action, right? I don't want to die because I had to go into cover and it takes a half second to reload. I want that fast reload that I don't have to think about. I want that quick ADS.
Okay.
Whatever advantage I can get on people with that's definitely what I play. And when I go in PvE, it's feed all my abilities and keep me alive.
Okay. So you're looking at more gun performance. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
See, like I could tell you right now, our difference on just gauntlets alone, you're going with reload mods.
I mean, it's reload or dexterity, hands down. It's whatever resilience, recovery, mobility I need, and then it's reload, dexterity.
See, mine would probably be anti-flinch. Let me see, is that on chest piece?
That's chest.
Okay, so my anti-flinch mods will be on my chest piece then. So.
And then again, it depends on the gun. Like you would think anti-flinch on sniper is great, but really, if you're getting flinched with a sniper, you shouldn't be using that gun. You should be taking cover, right? So I put my reload, like if I'm running a sniper and a hand cannon, I'll put all my anti-flinch on my hand cannon. I'll double stack it. Because if I'm getting flinched on my sniper, I shouldn't be following up with another shot. I should be going and getting my health back and hitting them from a different angle.
Yeah, I was just trying to look at my loadout here and see what I would use. I'm loving the Child of the Old Gods right now, because I love sending I know I'm that guy. I'm that guy in the Crucible. I love my little orb messing with you, and while you're distracted from the orb, I'm usually charging in, or at least I'm trying to get a line on you. Yeah, no,
I think it's a area of denial type of play, and I think it's very strong.
Very true.
And it sucks too, because like if you put pressure on them correctly, and you have that, you can block escapes, or you can just like delay their reaction enough that one, or either you or the Child of the Old God is gonna get that final kill on them. Right. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely had my negative encounters with it.
Yeah, and you get that you die and end up, your void soul ends up, or your Child of the Old God soul, and it actually ends up getting the kill for you in that round. It's nice. Yeah, I'm using stuff like bolstering detonation and firepower. Like grenade final blows. Well, no, that's not right. No. That's my... So I'm using stuff like if I use my class ability, it replenishes my grenade. If I do damage with my grenade, it's replenishing my healing rift and stuff. That kind of works back and forth like that, but
yeah.
Okay. And of course, resilience is everything in Crucible.
Yeah, I do that too, man. I just do that in PvE. In PvP, it's all about the guns for me.
Okay. I might look at that differently next time. I might try that different setup. Another question I had is, just going to bring more players back. These Crucible 2.0 changes. I know it's a very broad question, but do you think this is going to be a success story for Bungie, or do you think this is too little too late?
I think that they have a pretty established base. So, again, I don't know if it's going to bring people back. I hope it will. But I think there's a lot of competition out there. I think it's a long season. A lot of veteran players already have a lot of the things that they're handing out.
Right.
You know, so is there a value to that stuff that they're handing out? I don't know.
Okay. Do you think this is something they were going to maybe change in Final Shape, but maybe they brought it up because Final Shape supposedly came out today, right? If it wasn't delayed, we'd be playing right now.
I'm hoping that that this is more from the Crucible Strike Team,
right, and
things that they set into motion months ago when they took over. Again, I think that the changes are good. I think that the things that they're doing, at least to like adding rewards and adding cards to trials and that sort of stuff, is awesome. I'm all about it. I'm all about having valuable rewards. I'm all about all these things that they're talking about. That's great. Let's keep doing that, Bungie. But are you going to bring back players who are taking a break? I don't know. Are you going to encourage players who are already playing that maybe don't play Trials and Comp to play Trials and Comp more? Absolutely. I could see that for sure.
I was talking to Scarlett last week, and he goes, I play my Thursday night crew. I'm playing sixes all the time. I'm like, well, why don't you play Comp? And he told me because I tried to play Trials one time, and someone messaged me and said I was a trash can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people...
Yeah.
People are always going to be hurting, right? And hurt people, right?
There you go.
I think that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
So like, you know, man, just understand that if someone's giving you shit via text or whatever because of a PvP game that you played, like, how sad is their life?
Right.
Just don't let it get to you. Like, be happy that you're in a better spot mentally than they are.
Yep. Emotional intelligence. Yep.
Yeah.
One final question, and this is probably the most important question. Now that we know what's coming ahead next week, my God, I can't believe it's coming. It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited about this. You're talking to your average player out there that doesn't really play PvP, because let's face it, I know when I put videos for Crucible out, I don't get half the views that I do for stuff in PvE, like raids and stuff. It's obviously less people care about Crucible than they do PvE, but if they so inclined to try this little nugget that Bungie's throwing out there to try to bring more players in, what would you suggest they do to get better? Knowing what we know now about what's coming.
I think you need to go back and listen to the PvP episode. There's some good stuff there.
Certainly.
But you want to get better. Like, have a real honest conversation with yourself about your skill. And then don't get upset when you perform exactly at your skill level. Meaning, if you're not a good player and you go in to play PvP, do not expect to win. Do not expect to be at the top of the leaderboard. Do not expect to make all the plays. The people that get tilted easy, the people that are expecting like to just like slay out, like, you're just setting yourself up to get mad for no reason. And so I think, like, first and foremost, if you want to get better, you really need to be honest with yourself about where your skill level's at and what the realistic expectations are of the games that you're going to play.
Okay.
You've done that, great. Now you have a healthy mindset. Now, instead of focusing your energy on being pissed off about a video game that you paid for to play to have fun, you're actually doing that now instead of being mad. Now you can focus on getting good. You can focus on a couple things at a time, and we've gone over it, learning the maps, learning how to use cover, watching your gameplay. Like there's a huge list of things that you can work on. I mean, I've been playing this game for over, since Taken King, and I still have a bazillion things I could work on.
Right.
But I'm better than I used to be. And I think that's your measuring stick. You're not the person on the other team, and you're not the person on your team that's top of the leaderboard. You're you. And are you doing better than you used to be doing?
And I think with these changes that they're making, especially including more gun skill, I think people are going to be able to assess that at least a little bit better. I agree with everything you've said. I mean, we talked about all of this, Crucible tips, and, in a past episode of Destiny Help Desk. I thought it was very helpful. I had a lot of people give me feedback that, hey, this gave me a new lease on life when it came to playing Crucible. And granted, it's not easy. It's not easy getting better at Crucible, but when's it easy to get better at anything in life? If it was easy, everyone would be there already, right?
You're playing other people. Like,
right.
You're going to run in, just like real life. There's always someone better than you, right?
Always.
So your choice is to take your ball and go home, or brush your shoulder off and keep trying. Because, the difference between a greatness and someone who's better than you is greatness doesn't stop trying. Just keep grinding.
There's a little saying I have on the other side of my thing here. It says, it's hard to beat a person who never gives up.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I tell my kids, legit, I tell my kids that all the time, because it was one lesson that I never had someone clearly state to me when I was younger. And that is, if you like something, do not let someone who's better than you, make you not want to do it.
Right.
Because chances are they're going to give up before you. Even if they're better than you, most people just stop doing things. People like to be lazy, and there's always going to be someone who works harder than you or who might be better than you. But the one thing that you can do is just show up. And that goes for, it goes for everything, man.
Yes, it does.
And so, yeah.
Very well put. Only thing I can share, something more practical as far as primary weapons is, there is a shooting range behind in the throne world, behind the weapon crafting table, where you can get unlimited ammo and you can shoot at different plates, crit kills and body shots, all aligned in that. And it was like a little room behind it. And we don't really have a shooting range, but how I usually get better at a certain weapon is I will go into a patrol zone, one of my favorite places. Everyone says they don't do patrols, but you know what's funny is I looked at a statistic of where most people spend their time in Destiny, and I'll tell you what, a lot of people spend time in patrols. If you look at it, it's almost one of the most places most visited in this game are the patrol zones. So everyone who knocks me about doing my patrols or whatever, farming Glimmer or whatever it is, a lot of people are doing it. So, but no. Go into a patrol zone and find a wall that's about, I don't know, it's hard to gauge meters in a game, but let's just say a mid-range engagement, and get whatever rifle you have, a sniper rifle, preferably like a pulse rifle, auto rifle, hand cannon. And if you're using controller, take any of your guiding sticks off and just pull the trigger and see where it goes. And if sometimes it's going to bounce to the left after you shoot it a few times, sometimes it's going to bounce to the right. And there's certain characteristics of the gun and stats of the gun that determine that. Stability, for instance, the higher the stability, eventually you get to 100 recoil direction, which is a stat on your weapon if you look at your weapon directly, which is straight up and down. And you have numbers varying from that And what you're trying to reach is a number in that variation, the best you can get, closest to 5, the midpoint. Think of 1 and 2 on one side. Think of 8 and 9 on another side, looking at the variance of a fire. So if you get to a 5, you're going to get to a middle, but just how far it spreads apart, how much deviation there is in your shot will be depending upon your aim assist or your aim assist and your stability. So you want to always try to keep it at a 5 at any point in whatever weapon you're trying to use. That will keep it as most centered as possible. And then it's up to you as far as your memory on how to use your sticks, of which way to pull when you're firing your weapon in automatic, which way to aim up or aim down if it has a lot of recoil, stuff like that. And you can only learn that by just going somewhere and just testing it. And if you see that with your best mods on there, a counterbalance mod or whatever, that is still creeping up and to the right or up and to the left, then you'll know when you're firing against somebody to make sure if you're using that weapon, to make sure you're pulling against that to make your weapon more accurate. And that's what all the good players do. Cool Guy is the best at this. When he does weapon reviews, he will literally go into a private map, usually a Crucible private game, and he'll actually fire the weapon without any kind of assistance from his hands. And he'll show you where the recoil pattern is, or he'll show you where the spread is on a shotgun. He'll show you where the pellets are going on a fusion rifle. You can learn so much from just using a wall in a private match in Crucible or in a patrol zone or whatever. And mouse and keyboard goes the same way. It's just different characteristics as far as how you use it. I'm not a mouse and keyboard user, so that's more up your alley. Fluffy is there, but that's the only thing I can add to what Fluffy said, because we've talked a lot about getting better and tips and tricks on how to get better in Crucible. And Fluffy and I are certainly not, killers, but we've played our rounds in this game, and we've learned a lot playing this game for 10 years. And I think these tips and tricks will help you get to at least to the point where you're actually enjoying Crucible and you're not feeling like a trash can half the time. So
yeah, and give it time. If it's a new weapon, play 10 games, and 10 games is a lot of time.
Yep.
10 games is not a half hour.
Yep.
Dedicate yourself to it.
And one other tip I would tell you is, if you're trying to learn gun skill, play 6s because it's a target-rich environment. If you're trying to learn how to play strategy in the game, start with 3s. I know there's a higher skill gap there. There is, because most of your higher-level players, that's where they're ending up usually. But try 3s. Resist the urge to go play the public, the big public party games. Go jump into 3s and just learn how the games play. And you'll find out that, like I did, surprisingly, I enjoyed 3s much more than 6s. So that's all I had to add to it. So
awesome.
Well, Fluffy, man, thank you. Thank you for coming aboard tonight. You and I we kind of have the same mindset when it comes to Crucible. And, other than me being the grumpy PvP player this season, you've always had a really positive mind when it comes to Crucible. So I always love your advice, man. So thank you for sharing your advice tonight and what you think of the new changes coming forward.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's always fun to jump on and talk shop with you. And I think it's fun too, because we do have very different approaches, like in what we like in the Crucible, and we have different play styles in the Crucible. So it's always fun, because I think they're both very valuable, and I think it's important to have people that play it different ways talking about it, right? Right.
Exactly. Well, sir, before you go, can you tell people where they can find this awesome podcast you guys do?
Yeah, we're Potato Thumbs Podcast. We are places that podcasts can be found. And if you look and we're not there, then you should tell me, and you're also looking in the wrong spot. And I'm Fluffy. I don't know. We're part of this Owl Sector Discord. I've been streaming a little bit too. That's fun again. But yeah, I don't know, just doing the podcast thing and playing games with friends. And PvP leagues happening. So there's a lot of people in the LFG pool. So if you are interested in playing some PvP or trying to get better, we had a bunch of people jump in last season that don't play PvP.
Nope.
And they had a lot of fun. And we have people jumping in this season that don't play PvP, and they're excited. We even had the winners from last season decided that they did not want to be in a team by themselves, and they actually broke up to LFG so that people of any skill could play with them instead of just them steamrolling everyone.
I love this.
Yeah,
awesome,
so
man.
like really like a healthy approach to the Crucible, because it's about having fun. There are no trophies. No one cares how good you do besides you. Yeah. We're just shooting friends in the face and you know, dedicating like an hour and a half once a week. So
what's great about if you're a player in the PvP league, and I think you're doing it on Monday nights. I think season next season coming up.
This season will be Monday
still have room
nights.
available? Are you still taking people?
We're still allowing people to sign up till next week. I think I said by the 4th.
This will be
that
awesome.
gives people 1 week with the new changes, and then we start the following week.
Potato Thumbs Podcast Discord. I'll put the link in the show notes down below. You guys want to join that Discord? Yeah,
and I'm in GDC. I mean, I'm always you can tag me or DM me. I'm a normal human. Like I like talking video games, so don't be shy.
Another thing that's great about that, Fluffy, is players who maybe are not as experienced playing Crucible. These god tier players can say, "Listen, here's what we need to do," and you say, "Oh, no, don't do that. Don't go over there. You don't really want to." Well, at least they can guide them and give them tips. It's just like if you won a raffle and you're playing with 2 killers on a stream somewhere. It's almost like that because they're going to tell you the things that are going to help you play better. And you can't get that advice anywhere. That is something you have to watch 1 million streams to learn in time. And it's just invaluable knowledge. So I encourage you guys, even if you're not a Crucible player, this is a good opportunity to jump in there and learn from some of the really great players out there. So. Yeah,
I mean, I was blown away when they came to me via DM with this, because this just happened this past weekend. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, like everyone knows that you can get any skilled player, right? And they're like, yeah, like we want to make that opportunity out for people, you know?
So I love it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they're such good people. Yeah. Like what an adult too. What an adult approach to like being a super high level player and being like, you know what? I'm not coming here to just like,
I don't need the ego. I don't need the
like I'm coming. Yeah, like I can still have fun and maybe help some people.
Yep.
So
exactly. Well, thank you again, sir. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Absolutely, bud. It was a blast.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you have any questions or comments for the show, you can enter your feedback in the Destiny Help Desk feedback channel of my Discord. The Discord invite is discord.gg/GuardianDownCast. That's my other Destiny 2 podcast where I hear the Destiny journeys of our community members and gamers, as well as the latest news from Bungie and so much more. You can also head down to GuardianDownCast.com for all the information and how to reach me. So if you got anything out of today's episode, do me a favor and give the new Crucible 2.0 a try. Let me know what you think. Be kind to your fellow Guardians in the Destinyverse. And later, Guardian. How was your PvP-ness? I can't believe you made me say that.